Do you ever feel like your beautiful after photos get lots of likes, but they aren't actually bringing in clients? If that's the case, you're not alone. Now, this is going to sound really weird, but as it happens, your perfectly styled room reveals might actually be hurting your business rather than helping it. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly why showing your design process is far more valuable than just posting those picture-perfect finished rooms. And I'm going to show you exactly how to use your process content to book more clients. I'm Kate Hatherall, and here at the Interior Designers Hub, we teach people how to set up, grow, and run successful interior design businesses. Now, when we scroll through Instagram or Pinterest, we are bombarded with stunning after photos, right? Those magazine-worthy spaces that look effortless, but actually, as we all know, took weeks or months to create. But the problem with that is that these perfect photos are actually hiding the most valuable part of what you do as a designer, and that's costing you clients. You see, most designers believe, understandably, that to attract clients, they need to showcase a portfolio of stunning after photos, right? Reasonable enough. Beautiful spaces that make potentials go, wow, is what brings clients in. But here's the problem. Those finished rooms are actually making it harder for you to book clients. So let me explain why. When clients only see the finished product, they actually miss everything that went into creating it. So they don't see the expertise, they don't see the problem solving, the project management, or the thousands of tiny little decisions that you made along the way. And this creates three major problems. Firstly is that clients start to think that interior design is just about having good taste or a great eye, throwing a few cushions together, and that makes it seem like just anyone could do it. Secondly, they can't understand why your services cost what they do, because if you can just throw some cushions together, why on earth should you be charging so much? And they could be thinking, well, why am I paying thousands when it looks so simple? And thirdly, without seeing your process, clients actually can't differentiate between you and every other designer that's posting pretty rooms online. I once worked with a designer who was charging premium rates, but really struggling to convert them into inquiries. Now, if you looked at her portfolio, it was stunning, like magazine-worthy spaces that looked effortless. But when potential clients contacted her, they'd absolutely balk at her prices. Well, it's just furniture and paint colours, they'd say. She was losing clients because they just couldn't see all of the expertise that went into creating those stunning spaces. So how do we fix this? Well, I'm going to give you a three-part framework for showing your process that's going to transform how potential clients see the value that you bring. The first shift is to start documenting what I call the invisible work. So that's all of the expertise and decision-making that actually clients never get to see. Instead of just showing that beautiful blue sofa in the finished room, show the sofa selection process. So talk about how you considered the client's lifestyle, how you tested fabrics for durability, or how you measured the space precisely, or how you coordinated that with all of the other elements in the room. This really reveals your expertise in action. So rather than a client thinking, oh, well, I could have picked a nice blue sofa, anyone can do that, they start thinking, oh, wow, there's so much more that goes into this than I realised. I didn't know all of those things were part of the plan. So the same applies to floor plans, material selections, and problem solving. So for example, if you can share how you transformed an awkward layout into a functional space, so show the before plan, show your sketches, but importantly also share your thought process. It's these kind of behind the scenes insights that demonstrate your technical skills and training. So here's how this might look on an Instagram post, for example. So instead of saying, swipe to see this stunning kitchen transformation, try instead saying something like, well, swipe to see how we solve this kitchen's major storage problem. And then that could be a carousel, for example, where the first 3 slides are showing your initial sketches, where you reconfigure the layout to add 40% more storage while still maintaining that open feel that the client wanted. Do you see the difference? The second shift is to tell the full transformation story, not just sharing the happy ending. And most designers share before and after, right? But the real magic actually happens in the during phase. This is where you show the challenges, the decision points, and importantly, how you navigated them. So, for example, highlight that moment when the client was nervous because the first coat of paint had gone on and they were worried that it wouldn't look right. We've all been there, right? And then show how you reassured them and guided them through that period of uncertainty. This demonstrates not just your design skills, but also your client management abilities and the fact that you're on your client's side and part of their team, reassuring them throughout the process. That makes your role even more valuable. The sorts of content that you can create are things like a day in the life video or a behind the design posts that show what actually happens during a project. So show yourself measuring, sourcing, problem solving, or coordinating with contractors. But here's what's interesting as well, and the great thing about this type of content is that you don't need to wait until a project is finished. In fact, it's that sharing of your process in real time that's even more engaging. We all know that if we work on a project, it can be months before we end up with the after photos. But sharing this in the middle of the process gives us even more content that we can share, and it's even more valuable than those after photos. As it happens, it turns out that we're all quite nosy, right? And we love nothing more than seeing that real-time, gritty, behind-the-scenes content. Let's say you're working on a kitchen renovation, for example. So from day one, share each step of the process. You can include everything that's happening, including if you had an unexpected plumbing issue, for example, or even if you make a mistake. But crucially, what you're going to show is how you fixed it and how you overcame the problems. A series of posts like that can actually lead to new client inquiries from people who are specifically interested to learn about how you can handle challenges as part of your process. All right, now the third shift is to educate whilst you showcase your work. So instead of just showing what you did, explain why you did it. This positions you not just as someone with great taste, but also as an expert and guide as well. So don't just show a room with perfect lighting. Explain your lighting formula. Why was it that you chose 3 different light sources at different heights, for example? How did you calculate the right lumen output for the space? Or why did you select the specific fixtures to achieve both function and style? Do you see how this kind of content helps clients to see the depth of your expertise, and it really builds their trust in your decisions because you're proving that you know way more than they could even have imagined? You can create all sorts of content like this. So for example, why we chose this, the thought process behind 5 key design decisions, or design dilemma solved, how we made this narrow hallway feel twice as wide, or the science behind this colour scheme, why these tones work together. If you remember just one thing from this video today, process content doesn't just show what you do, it shows clients why they need you in the first place. It reveals to them all of the things that they don't even know are a thing, and then they realise why they need to hire you. All right, so here's how you can start implementing this approach in your own business. I'm going to give you 5 practical steps that you can take away. So step 1 is to audit your current content. So go back through your portfolio or your social media and actually count up how many posts show only finished spaces versus how many show your process. I know that can feel really intimidating because we just want to show everybody the shiny finished product, but remember it's that gritty, less polished stuff that people are more interested in. Now, if less than around 30% of your content shows process, then it might be time to share more of that good behind-the-scenes stuff. Step 2 is to set up a simple system to capture your process. So this could be as basic as even just creating a folder on your phone called Process Content with subfolders for each project. Make it a habit to snap photos or to take quick videos of your sketches and plans as you're planning, your material and furniture selections, your site visits and measurements, the problems that you encounter and how you solve them, and even the thought process as you're solving those problems. Make sure that you're sharing the before and during stages, not just the after and not just the transformation. All right, step 3, choose one current project and share 3 process posts. So even if you're midway through a project, you can start now. You could share, for example, the client brief and how the concept responds to that. You could share a challenge that you're working on, that you're trying to solve. And then you could also share a behind-the-scenes look at your material selections, for example. It really doesn't have to be complicated. Step 4 is to create one expertise explanation post. That's a bit of a mouthful. But what it means is to take something that you did instinctively in a recent project and then break down your thought process. Sometimes we make these decisions really easily without even thinking about how we came to that decision. So for example, why I chose these 3 specific paint colours for this north-facing room and how I created the illusion of more light. Do you see that's so much more impactful than just showing a picture of the end result? And step 5, of course, is to track engagement and inquiries. So you want to be keeping a record of which types of process content gets the most engagement, and more importantly, which content leads to customer inquiries. You will likely notice that potential clients respond more to your process content than to your perfect aftershots, as counterintuitive as that may seem. Now, one major thing that holds people back from doing this, the elephant in the room, is that people are often uncomfortable on camera. But look, even if you don't want to show your face, you can still create really powerful process content. So your sketches, your plans, your samples, and your text explanations can be just as effective. The most important shift, though, is in your mindset. From thinking of yourself as someone who creates beautiful spaces to recognizing that what you're really selling is your expertise, your problem-solving skills, and your project management skills. And your process content should reflect that. So I'd love to know, what part of your design process do you think you could share? Choose just one thing to get started with and let me know. And if you want to go deeper into turning your expertise into content that attracts dream clients, then check out my other videos because they're jam-packed full of helpful content. All right, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss our weekly videos on growing your interior design business. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.